Trump. That was it. Good stuff. Okay, where's my? I'm trying to find a Zoom. It disappeared on. Oh, well, thank you everyone for being with me tonight. I can't wait to go to bed. No offense. No offense. I hope you enjoyed. It's that time. I feel terrible coming back on me, my forehead. I feel like somebody hit me again. My throat. I'm going to take some NyQuil stuff and see if that helps me sleep. Now I'm getting, my nose is getting all boogery. I hope I do too, Diana. Thank you. Thanks, Popo. I feel terrible. Hi, Deb. You floating around
Hey,
in there
Chris.
somewhere?
Hey, how
Hi,
are
how are
you?
you?
Oh,
I'm sick.
sounds
Fred.
like it sounds like you may have had what I had. I tell you what, though, a couple of weeks ago, you know how I told you how we had the chemtrails big time,
Yeah,
and
we have to.
well, and you know how I told you how I don't know, they must have injected something extra uh,
I heard they have. I had heard that they had.
and the reason why I say this is because when we first moved here, and I know I've talked about this before, when we first moved here, whenever they did the chemtrails, within 2 weeks, I was getting sick, you know, really sick, really congested, and really knocked me on my back for about a week or two. It'd
Mhm.
be so bad. But once I started taking the supplements I take, and it's called Activate. It's got the quercetin, the vitamin. You know, it's low dosages, so once I started doing that, I literally, I can burn my hand, and uh, the chemtrails come in, and if I start feeling bad, I take, I double up on the quercetin and the vitamin C and D3
Yeah.
and the zinc. And, within a day or two, I'm better, like cut the time like a third, right? Well,
Good.
this time I doubled up on the quercetin and everything for 2 days straight, and then a third, let one day go, and then a third day, and I still felt bad for a week. I just either
Yeah.
that I was so tired. The other thing is I can't remember who it was. It's in the last few days that someone had on. They were talking about parasites and how parasites, when they're dying, they want you to eat. You know,
Oh,
the
really?
yeah, there's something
Hmm.
about, you feel like you want to eat because the parasites are dying. Well, I tell you what, my stomach feels so hot, kind of it's not acid reflux, but it just feels burn. Have you ever had that burning sensation in your stomach? And you just,
Yeah.
the only way you can, you kind of quench it or calm it down is if you eat something. That's how I felt. So,
Oh, okay. Mm.
but
This was, it was dropping in Spokane the day before Easter, and it didn't occur to me that that's the day everybody would be out doing Easter stuff, shopping for food and stuff, Costco, and places packed. And I'm sure there were people that traveled there from out of the area. But I came home, and usually it takes me a couple days after I've been to town. I just get sick after I've been to town. I always do for some reason. Just get a little low grade illness, just stress, I think. Well, I got that. I think I even talked about it on my show Monday night, and then last Monday or Monday before. And I was so tired for the next 2 days. And then Wednesday, I think it was, woke up and I had this sore spot on the back of my throat on one side. And I thought, crap, have I got strep throat? It's been a year since I've had strep throat. I used to get it twice a year. But anyway, this spot on the back of my throat was really sore. The next day, the whole back of my throat was sore, like right around where my tonsils are. And then the back of my tongue
mm,
was hurting clear up into my sinuses and down my throat. It was just the weirdest thing. Then it went up into my face, and my cheekbones hurt so bad I had to take a leave. And I have to be really, really in a lot of pain to take a leave. And I thought I was waiting to take it because it usually lasts like 12 hours and it takes an hour to kick in. I to take it because I want to go to sleep. I didn't sleep the night before because it was hurting so bad. Oh, and also acid reflux. The day that my throat was hurting, the first one, it was Tuesday, I think. I got acid reflux and it
Mm,
didn't, it's still, I still have it. I
then,
still have it. It's the weirdest thing. And I have to take vinegar to make it stop. But yeah, it went up into my sinuses and up into my eyes and then down my throat. I can feel I've got two spots that are burned in my esophagus that every time I swallow, sometimes I get a spasm and it like rolls. It'll roll up
oh
my
yeah, I've had
under my
those.
W, yes, it rolls up underneath my breastbone. I can feel it in my backbone. It'll roll up and then splay out right at my jaw into my jawbone. And just it sits there like a really bad cramp and just sits there for like 2 or 3 seconds. I'm like, yeah, oh, geez. Oh, I hate it when that happens.
Oh my
But
gosh.
my cheeks feel bruised on the tops of them. They actually feel bruised. Very weird. I've never had anything like this before, and I've had it for well, it's over a week now.
I'm
But it's
used
very uncomfortable,
I'm used to I'm pretty much used to stuff like that because I've always had for years I'd get bronchitis whenever the the seasons changed. Living in Texas, I mean, they always call it, they always said it was the mountain cedar, but I don't know. But sometimes the smoke from the Mexican fires or fires from Mexico would come in and irritate. So I'd get really bad bronchitis. But all that you described, I'm used to that. But oh, I mean, yeah, I started. I mean, I think the week before Holy Week, that weekend, that's probably the reason why I was feeling like I was on Saturday with Aaron.
Mhm.
But that would have been Palm Sunday weekend, and I was just like I had such a brain fog. I couldn't think, and I just didn't know what to say, what to do, and then I took my grandson to see the movie King of Kings for Good Friday, and uh, and I didn't feel good then, and it just and I think on Friday morning or Saturday morning I broke a slight fever, but yeah, yeah, last week I was just not feeling good all week long,
If you
and
have a with your grandson though, you probably bring things home from school, and so anybody that's got kids is used to being sick because the kids drag something home with them.
well, I'm around kids all the time, but and
Yeah,
like I said, but I think because they get chemtrails, and then for the next 2 or 3 days, I mean, it's supposed to be that heavy blanket fog because the 2 weeks before we had that very well, not only the chemtrails but the that heavy fog,
fog. Yeah,
and they're
a
bringing
lot of
it,
people correcting it about that. That was so weird.
and they're let's see, I'm thinking we're supposed to have that again this week. It started today, but again for the next 2 or 3 days, it's like
Uh,
that. It's like, what? Stop poisoning us, And of course, all right, and of course, California just passed that bill that's the Democrats or Democrats passed that bill that's not going to allow. Let's see. It's not going to make minor child trafficking as a felony.
are
And
you kidding?
no,
No,
it's
that tells me they're in on it.
it's
Why
kind
else would they allow it? They're in on it. They have
yeah,
to
of
be
course.
doing part of it. I don't think that's going to fly because that is not constitutional. The children have rights too, and that flies in the face of the Constitution. See, they need to be removed from office when they break their oath to defend and uphold the Constitution, and they
But
break that. They broke the oath with this a promise to the people they will do this job. And when they're not doing it, they need to be removed. And it should be instantly.
the
They should
problem
be, and I think it's probably coming.
The problem is too many people think that what they're doing is okay. I mean, you got the goofy people that just
Oh,
don't get it. They don't understand. I mean, I, I sit here and I'm thinking. I just keep thinking of Exodus and Moses and the children of Israel, the Israelites, and they spent 400 years in slavery, and when they're free, they want to go back. They don't.
well, it's easy living. It
Yeah.
was
Well,
easy.
I mean, they kept saying,
I
"Oh,
think,
that we had food, we had this." Yeah, you had yeah, you were beaten and you were, it's like, are
Had
you,
garlic and onions. They missed their garlic and onions.
and
We,
it's like, you
I think our
really,
problem now, we have brain damaged people from taking the shots and the boosters. And I think that's where a lot of the problems are coming from. All these
well,
people going bonkers with their rages and stuff like that. Just they're off the hook crazy right now. And it's like, that's not normal. Even for them, that's not normal.
I was thinking too, there's something about the shots that I was thinking the other day, and I can't remember. Another agenda besides the shots. Gosh, I wish I could remember, but I was thinking too, and I'm sure I'm not the first and I'm not the only one that thought this, but you know how I talked about military bases being, pretty much a 15-minute cities, and
Mhm. Oh,
but
yeah.
think about this. Why are they pushing the EV so much? Why do they push climate change? It's to keep you in those 15-minute cities.
Control. Well, yeah, the ultimate plan is the UN Biodiversity Treaty, where the landmass of the United States is empty except for 5 cities on the West Coast, and I think 6 or 7 on the East. And those are stack and packs with railways between them. And the bottom, I've seen all the plans for this 40 years ago. That Agenda 21 was part of that. But the bottom, if you look at these different areas like where Pelosi lives, they're putting those rail lines in and they're putting those high rises in. They're fully planning to do this regardless of what Trump is doing. Um, but the bottom floor is the store where the groceries at, the dry cleaners or clothing stores, whatever. Everything is in that building. You do not need to ever leave. And your apartment is like a 400 square foot apartment, enough for a bed, a sink, and a toilet and a shower. They're super. I mean, they plan these dirt bags overseas, the Weffers and all the rest of them. They depends who they want to live. They're going to, they say, oh, well, the Georgia Guidestones, there'll be 500 million left. No, they're lying to you. They want you to think that you might be just get lucky enough to be one of the 500 million. No, they plan on taking out everybody. And that's evident when you read Revelation, because it says if Jesus doesn't return at the end of the 7 year tribulation, that no flesh would be saved. They are hell bent on killing everyone. They just don't want you to know that, because once the corral gets full of anxious animals, they start busting the fence down and running off. And they can't control you. It's all about control.
Well, when you think about it, when they talk about the judgments and the bowls and the trumpets, I mean, what, two thirds of the population is wiped off.
Well,
And really,
the first wave is half or a quarter. The second wave is a third, and
I thought
that's
that
just judgments.
I thought it
And
would.
that's
I thought it
huh?
was I thought it was all in thirds. One third, which is over
Uh,
half, and then the other third was another. You know,
I think the first wave is in Revelation 6, and they take out a quarter of the people. But if you keep looking at it, that's just that stuff. That's just the those things. That's not counting people who die from war or people who die from other things during that time. From people that are killed from having not having the mark. Those people aren't listed either. So there's a lot more than what they're claiming. I mean, if on the face of it, when you see the two big events, I think is when the angels are loosed out from under the river Euphrates. And then you also have the Antichrist, the image of the beast that commands the people that don't worship and will be killed. We don't know how many of those are, but the Bible says it's many, many.
well,
Yes.
they're definitely pushing for that. They're definitely trying to get the or stop. They're either trying to increase speed up God's timeline, or
Oh,
I
they want
did.
it to come. They're anxious for it. They're ready. I
Yeah.
mean, they want Satan to take over.
Oh
They're
yeah.
ready. That's why they're pushing all these different things. They know, but Satanists own Bibles. They know what the Bible says.
Mm-hmm.
Satan's just told them that it ends different than they're told. So they know what things are supposed to happen
Mm-hmm.
and approximate times of when. So yeah, it's interesting. Oh, and also, what was another thing? You got people that die. Oh, the 200 million people that die at the Valley of, was it Megiddo? The Armageddon battle. 200 million people die there. It's crazy. Just death. It's going to be just violence and death the whole time. Thank God it's only 7 years. The first 3.5 aren't as bad as the last 3.5. But it's good.
Mm.
Time you don't. Nobody wants to be here for that.
Well, they're. It looks like Texas has already been. I mean, I know it's happened in other states, but it looks like
They're everywhere. They're everywhere.
the
They're
Muslims. I mean, and I don't. Here's another thing that I can't. People don't get the whole. When you come into this country, you're supposed to assimilate and be part of the people, not make us be a part of you.
Islam can't. Islam people, if you learn about Islam, you'll know it can't. It is a political ideology. It's a political government. It's not
It's
a
not
religion.
so it's
Political.
not covered under the First Amendment.
No, it's not. And they parade around. They hide under the skirts of religion, but it's not. It's a political ideology, and they should never be allowed to live here ever. They should all be deported, every one of them, because it flies in the face of they're here to take over. They come right out and said that. Their imams overseas say we're coming to America. We're gonna get rid of the great Satan and the little Satan. The United States is a big Satan. Israel's a little Satan. They plan on killing everybody or forcing them to convert, and that they're coming here to do that.
They're already here. They haven't just come. They're already here.
They've been here for years, and they're sneaky and quiet the way they do things.
It reminds me of what William Federer said. Pam's had him on a couple of times, and when he talked about Islam, Islam, and he says, their ideology is if you're nice to them, that gives them permission to conquer you. And people can't wrap their heads around that not everybody who comes into your sphere of influence is actually helping you, or they're helping.
They know their enemy. They know their enemy. People I hear over and over, but they're so nice. Yes, they are nice until they aren't. Because that's why I always ask when a Muslim comes into the chat room, hey, Muhammad, because a lot of them go by Muhammad, what are you supposed to do when the sun rises in the west? And they try to ignore me. It's like I press them and they leave. They don't want people knowing what they're supposed to do when the sun rises in the west because they have to kill the infidels. We're infidels. And it says, I remember in Ask Amy, Based Amy knows a lot. She knows probably the Quran better than most Muslims do. She's very well versed in that. She's taught herself all the stuff in there. Says if there's a rock, if the Jew is hiding behind a rock, it will shout out, here he is, come and kill him. Yeah, that's a death cult. It's a satanic death cult. And you look at Sharia, who do they go after? They go after women. They treat them worse than dogs. Well, who had the first fight? Eve and Satan. Wow, what a surprise. God said that he put a curse between the two. So you look at that and think about what's going on with that. It's an end times thing, because I remember when I found out that the Muslims were chopping heads off as a form of capital punishment, I thought, what? That's barbaric. And then I realized, wait a minute, in the Bible it talks about the Christians having their heads. And I thought, that's got to be Muslims. What else could it be? Nobody else is that barbaric. They're here. Well, they are here.
Did you see that Texas stateswoman? She's 25 years old. I think she's running for state. She's running for a state position, I believe. Anyway, she came out. She went out to they were having the Capitol. Abbott, doggone it, Abbott. They were having this Muslim day at the Capitol, and this woman came out and called them out, and they shoot her off the Capitol. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
That was. She's 25 years old, and they kind of ran her off, but she got in. She says Islam is they're rapists and pedophiles.
Oh wait, I did see that part. It was a tiny little video. Clip. It was really small. Yeah, that was good. She has a lot of guts. And that's what has to be done. People need to wake up. Because a lot of people, I know a lady in Dearborn. Well, they've always been really nice to me. And I said, do you know anything about their religion, their so-called religion? Well, no. So I had to fill her in on a few things. They're commanded to if you see them walking in your neighborhood, they're not just taking a stroll, they're marking the territory out because their Quran tells them wherever their feet step, that belongs to them forever. Even if they're vanquished from the land, they can come back and take that land because it's theirs, because they walked a circle around it. It's just the most asinine thing. It's so satanic. The whole thing is just ridiculous. But they need to be gone. They should never be in our government. Ever be in our government. You look at Ilhan Omar. Look at the crap she's pulled.
Oh yeah.
And look at the Rashid, all these evil. And you got,
Well,
I think, quite a few closet Muslim, like Abbott could be a Muslim. The stuff he's been doing, I think that Bob, our new governor here in Washington State's probably a Muslim. They just made Washington State, oh, we're the first ones.
oh, I
We're the
saw
first.
that.
Yeah, yeah. They have to either be getting paid or they are converts. And you look at these Muslim community centers all over, they had to have the legislators allow a lot of things or turn blind eyes to these things being done.
I tell
Tells me
you
they're
what.
probably.
I tell you what. I mean, if we're not. I mean, we're if President Trump doesn't do something about this, I hope the right people get into his ear because you're gonna have people killing each other. We're gonna have that world war, that kinetic war that we've been trying to keep from happening. If I mean, all this that President Trump is trying to do to save America, and it's not going to do us a hill of beans. It's not going to do any good if the states are already infiltrated. And I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I know there's a plan and somehow, but it's like, it's getting to the point that even the people, if you don't, gosh, I don't know. I mean, I trust President Trump, but it's like I know he still has advisors. He still has people advising him, and if he doesn't have the right people advising him, it doesn't do any good.
He should know better. I mean, if you know it, he should know it. If I know it, he should know it.
You
I mean,
think?
not just, he should not be trusting entirely his advisors. He needs to go look some of this stuff up himself.
Yeah,
And he needs to ask questions. I know he's a busy guy, but there's certain things. So he's kind of come out about the Muslims.
I hope
He
so.
has a little bit, but not really bad, not yet. But I think it's coming because if he understood what they stand for, what they do, they've got the police patrol in New York City with their own little cars and their own little uniforms on the prowl again. They were doing that about 20 years ago. They're back on the scene, running around with their little Islamic crap, pushing their Sharia law. People think they're official because they're in an official looking car with sirens and all the other garbage. It looks like a police car. If they're trying, I mean, they push that, nobody does anything, then they get away with it and push it harder. That's what they do. But we
Yeah,
need to get them out of our government and out of our. We need to deport all of them. They should not be here. I don't think they should even be here. I mean, look at all the terrorists you see are all Muslim.
hmm
You're not seeing Baptist terrorists. Uh,
yeah. They're
oh,
all.
I gotta go to bed, Deb. I'm
Oh,
out of it.
okay. Well, thanks for talking to me. I'm sorry you're feeling so bad.
I'll be better next week. I think. So
Oh,
anyway, no, it was good talking to you about little we talked. So you have
yeah.
a great rest of your week. I'll see you next Wednesday, Lord.
All right. You have a good one. Get some
Thank
sleep.
you. Good night. God bless. Good night.
Hello, everybody out in chat. This is Dub65. This is On a Wing and a Prayer. I have, this is my time, Thursday morning. Actually, it's still Wednesday on my end, so it's not quite the first of the month yet. Can you believe a third of the year has already gone by? And it's still like, I don't know about you guys. It seems like we've taken some steps forward, but we're still taking steps back. I mean, I don't know about the slow walking. I don't know. Anyway, but I am also seeing on Saturday evening, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern, or actually, my show is on since you can't really see me these days, so it's so crazy. Big fight. Yep, it is a big fight. But anyway, so in the meantime, I'm going to put my show opener and then I'll be right back and we'll figure out what I'm going to do. I'm just at these days, I just don't want to know what to do because there's so much going on.
Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. Therefore, take up the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand an evil day, and having done all to stand, stand therefore, having girded your waist with truth, having put on the breastplate of righteousness, having shod your feet with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, with which you will be able to quench all of the fiery darts of the one, and take helmet of salvation, and sword of spirit, which is the God. All the prayer, let us stand with all those take all saints and me, that I may given to me, and open up all the to make no mystery of God, which I'm an after vengeance, and will fulfill,
I suffered horror of cultures. The fullness of Jesus Christ. The evil of everything, but your constant knowledge people. And putting the pressure of Jesus Christ. It's like your years, or understand. You can never content, and move forward organize. I see Christ, so no story, no story. Bring the Bible to free. It's still there first, the rest of the part of the and in which Jesus I call and not be Father. Your truth and peace, the running miles. God, you have something from the time of research. Only you, Lord Jesus Christ. And don't take over on holes. That's just when you can strength the here. Not about strong and reversion. Lord God, I see the here. Drunk I suffer much under you. Lord, you have soul, body, and life, and everything. You hold child for me. Jesus, in the name of Jesus.
Right. So, I think it's like, it's pretty good years. So, yeah, I think it's like years ago. As like so I thought that number one. I wasn't feeling good, but I told my grandson I wanted to take him to go see the King of Kings, that little animation about Jesus and Resurrection Weekend, and I was feeling so poorly. I didn't do anything. I didn't get to go to any services. You know, just watch them on TV or the on my phone. And so I went and saw the King of Kings. Has anybody seen the King of Kings yet? Oh, goody. Carol says she's gonna try. Heidi and Poe, I never asked. Patriot and Nana, well, it's just nice to know that there's somebody that that I have some sort of audience, because then that way I'm not talking to myself all the time. Anyway, but how many people have anybody went to go see the King of Kings? And I know there's because I never, you know, it was produced, or the backing behind it, or the promoting entity is the Angel Studios, but the story itself was actually written by, or produced by a couple of South Korean gentlemen, and it was okay. Yeah, I don't watch very many movies, and I'm pretty skeptical about, especially movies with when it comes to Bible, just because they like to take artistic licenses, and of course we know the controversy between Angel Studios and The Chosen. So I have never seen The Chosen, but I really wanted to, you know, because I kept hearing, oh, kids need to see this movie, this King of Kings, and it was okay, but there are a couple of things that really, really bothered me. Well, the first thing I thought was funny, because my grandson, because when they're doing the credits, the opening credits, who's written it by, and da da da, my grandson, the first thing he says, why are the names all in Japanese? And I didn't know how to answer him. I was like, I'm thinking, smart kid, but it was really, it was really interesting. But one of the things that kind of caught my attention is they actually did a pretty good job going through the story of Jesus from the time he's born and everything. So it was a pretty good movie. It started off, though, at first I wasn't sure if I was in the right movie, because it started off with this Charles Dickens doing a live performance of the Christmas Carol play. And it was pretty, it was a very interesting opening anyway, because I thought it was going to get right to it. And but the two things that kind of caught my eye. There was three things, but I can't remember the third. The first thing was they used Charles Dickens' wife, her voice as the angel that goes to Mary. And that's like, okay, first of all, angels are not female. You look in the Bible, nowhere in the Bible does the angel say that does the Bible say that angels are female. In fact, the ones that are mentioned are Gabriel and Michael. Those are masculine in they're masculine. They're not feminine, they're masculine. The other thing that and the more I got to think of it, is like I did close my eyes a couple of times, but so either I missed it or it wasn't in there. So it talks about Jesus being baptized by John the Baptist, and when he comes up out of the water, it says God's let's see, did they have God's God said, this is my son, listen to him. So there were some things in the way they did the scripture that they didn't follow the scripture word for word. That was another thing. But there wasn't the dove. The dove was a representation of the Holy Spirit coming on to Jesus. If you read the accounts of his baptism in the Gospels, he comes up, the Holy Spirit, the dove lights on him, and God says, this is my only son, listen to him, and that was it. And I'm just like, so that's the reason why I try to be careful about things like that. But I just wanted my grandson to actually have, this is my beloved son in whom I am well pleased. So anyhow, but I wanted to give my grandson something, some a seed. And I mean, we do pray. Don't pray every day, but we do pray. So and it was really touching, because when we left, he asked me, what does baptize mean? So he did ask about baptize. And then when we were coming back to the house, he said, I want to pray. So he prayed silently. He didn't pray out loud. So I asked him what he prayed about. And he said, I asked God to forgive me. And, so he's getting there. So I'm thanking God for that. He's getting there. So that's a blessing. But I don't know. Sometimes I guess you got to start somewhere. But, for me, who has read the Bible multiple times, I don't know. I just have a hard time when people leave things out. And sometimes you can overlook it. Now, when you read your Bible, and I mean, I've read the Bible, and there are things that the first time I didn't understand quite what was being said, and then it took me 3 or 4 times in some cases to figure it out. So anyway, so what can we talk about? There's been so many things to talk about. I'm trying to find something that I don't know if I'm going to be able to really, with my computer, I've tried to do some, I have tried to clean some stuff up and so I can get my memory, but so that I have enough memory that I can actually play videos and stuff, but I don't know. It seems like at first I can play my opener, and after that it seems like it goes downhill. But there's so much stuff out there. Let's see if I can find this thing again, especially with the whole illegal stuff. Let's see. And even nowadays, I'm skeptical or not sure about doing some of the clips out there, because some of these clips you don't know if they're AI generated or what. I mean, it's getting harder and harder. I've mentioned this before. It's getting harder and harder to tell what is real and what isn't. What is uh let's see. I'm trying to find this. I read this and I thought, you know what? They're spot on. Let's see if I can find it. It was a day or two ago. Everything is just happening so quickly, and yet sometimes in some ways it seems like there's just so much dragging of the feet. Um, Let me see. I don't know. What is everybody else interested in? What are y'all interested in? Yeah, there is so much AI, you just can't tell, and I certainly don't want to be responsible for putting out information that's false, or giving up hope or giving hope. Let's see. Well, what do y'all okay, I tell you what, I could ask you, what do you think of President Trump's first 100 days in office, the second time around? Um, do you think is he on the right track? What does he need to do? Um, I've asked this before. Is there anything that president can do or can't do, or that will make you lose confidence in him? Still, while I'm looking at that, y'all can, if y'all want to let me know. Is there anything that President President Trump could do, or is there anything that you think he should be doing and he's not doing, that would make you lose confidence in him? Is signing the executive order. Man, he's talking about someone who comes in like a lion this second term. He's just making, I don't know, is the hate worse than it was before or not? And of course the hate didn't go away once he left office either. Okay, I can't find what I'm looking for. Yeah, Benny Busy Boy. Don't worry about it. We'll get either, or we'll see the return of Jesus. That's a good way to look at it. We'll either get our country back or we'll see the return of Jesus. Historical stuff. Let me see if there's a way I can. Oh, I wonder if I want. Says that page isn't found. Huh. Uh, Bill Federer with my friend Schneider discussing historical tariff. Oh well, let me see. Well, it says that page isn't found. And it's not letting me. The hate roll out of perfectly timed. Let me see what I can find and. Oops. Let's see if I can find some. Okay. Let's see. The hate rolled out perfectly timed. I mean, it seems like it's like it seems the vitriol is even worse than before. I guess I don't know. Uh, to see. Let's see. Do I want to go that direction, or do I want to go? Maybe we could do lefties losing it first, and maybe I can go a different direction. I gotta do something else first. If I had a better system, then maybe it's audio. It's not a video. Let's see. Screen recorder takes up all my memory. That's the only way I can archive, I think. Good night, Susie. Thank you for dropping that link. So get a nest. All right. Let's see. Can't really do fun anymore. Good night, just a pug. Yeah, no more Mr. Nice Guy, no more Mr. Clean. Gloves are off. I tell you what, they certainly are going after Pete Hegseth. Then okay, I gotta shut some of these windows, these apps down because they just take up a lot of memory. Come on. I think one of these days, what I like to try to do is to Polish leader just visited Tommy Robinson in jail. Seen two people get saved in the last 6 months. That's good. Let's see. There's a let's see if I can get this one to play. Okay, come on. All right. Okay, everybody. This will take some time up. Oh, come on. Yeah, I was afraid of that. Okay, let's see if this is going to play. Mm, let me get. Okay.
All lefties losing it, and Donald Trump was giving a speech in Michigan to mark the first 100 days of his using it last, decided to make a monumental fool of herself. Now, she, as the president, tries to figure out whether their safety is male or female.
What's the problem over there?
Nope, that's not going to work, is it? Mm. This is a pretty. Let me see. Maybe there's got to be a way I can do this. Let me see. Tip our there. Let's see. Is it the first Thursday in May? I've forgotten. I thought it was the 5th of May, but not surprised. Okay. Let me see. Let's see. So what else could we talk about? I'm trying to get this out. Let's see. We talked about. Let's see. Okay. Hold on. I'm gonna try to do this. See if this will work. I wonder if I need the internet, if I can get rid of the internet browser. All right, let's see. All right, let's try this. All right, let's try this, see if that works better. Maybe not.
When a lady decided to make a monumental fool of herself, watch here as the president tries to figure out whether their lefty is male or female.
What's the problem over there? What's the problem? Is that a radical left lunatic? He's just a child. All right, get him out. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, ma'am. I thought it was a guy. Thank you. And she now has to go home to a mother who's a big Trump fan. Her mother's watching. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I said he, and it's a she. I'm sorry.
Oh, yes, it can be hard to work out whether some of these radical left lunatic binary folk are male or female. And talking about LGBTQIA plus community, here is a trans woman, also known as a man-identifying woman, who fled to the UK, but it hasn't worked out well.
To come to the United Kingdom would have been a huge mistake, I must say. Not only the April 16th law that passed validating trans people's genders, tensions shift very quickly when laws change. And I've found myself not welcome in places I was just on my initial arrival here very quickly. It's been quite terrifying.
Now, sticking to the UK, you may have missed this, but it was a little miracle. The leftist British PM Keir Starmer, who not long ago claimed that some women have penises, well, he somehow, at the tender age of 2, worked out what a woman is. Bless.
Do you believe a trans woman is a woman?
Look, I think the Supreme Court has answered that question.
So you don't
and I
believe
think
a trans woman is a woman?
a woman is an adult female, and the court has made that absolutely clear. I actually welcome the judgment because I think it gives clarity. It allows those that have got to draw guidance to be really clear about what that guidance should say.
Now, I have missed historically illiterate hysteric Joanne Reid since she was sacked by MSNBC, but thankfully she's still producing content like this where she claims voting for Republicans to civilizational death. And the example she uses couldn't be more wrong.
If you take that away and it's just down to white folks, we'll be like Europe, an aging, slowly dying former empire. The Roman Empire didn't survive because it didn't have enough strength in its diversity. It suppressed its diversity and it died. If the U.S. wants to be a Roman Empire, keep voting the way you're voting.
You know, Joy's mad fever dreams about Trump and white supremacy seem to impact her entire worldview, but you can't change history, Joy. Before the fall of the Roman Empire, the emperor granted full Roman citizenship to all free men within the empire, changing the entire scope of citizenship to be far more inclusive. Facts are our friends. Now let's check in with former First Lady Michelle Obama, who must be among the unhappiest women in America. She's full of self-pity. She's full of disdain for the country that gave her so much and full of fears that are frankly hysterical.
In this current climate for me is, what's happening to immigrants. So it's not the fear for myself anymore. I drive around in a 4-car motorcade with a police escort. I'm Michelle Obama. I do still worry about my daughters in the world, even though they are somewhat recognizable. So my fears are for what I know is happening out there in streets all over the city. Now that we have leadership that is sort of indiscriminately determining who belongs and who doesn't.
Indiscriminately? Really, Michelle? You have to be in the country illegally. You have to have broken the law to be in the country illegally to be a candidate for deportation. Kind of an important point, but miserable Michelle wasn't done yet. She really does seem like the unhappiest person in America, even with the 4-car motorcade.
And knowing that there's so much bias and so much racism and so much ignorance that fuels those kind of choices, I worry for.
Well, the racism that his husband promoted, he when he says he was fundamentally changing the United States, he meant fundamentally changing the United States. He's the one that took Somalian and brought in Sharia law and dumped it in Michigan. So who are you trying to kid? Or Minnesota? No, Minnesota. Take that back. Minnesota. Who are you trying to kid? Of course, we all know you're not significant. Look at his shoes. I'm sorry, but that chest is anyway. And oh my gosh, why is this person even still right? Not your daughters. So, I mean, I don't know. I can't listen to this person and the people that, I mean, you talk about an occult. Oh my gosh. I don't think I don't think President Trump can walk on water, but good golly, the worship of Biden and Obama, just I just don't understand it.
People of color all over me. And I don't have advocates, and that makes me, frightens me. It keeps me, and I I'm just looking in the faces of people. Feeling. How do you feel? How do you feel going to school? You know that people like you, and who could.
Sorry about that. I made the mistake. If I hadn't, it would have, the sound would have gone if I had not have made that mistake of stopping it. It's, I wish we have Fani Willis. So this is back in March. Okay. Fani. So judge has ordered Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis to pay more than $54,000 in attorney fees and to turn over documents after finding that her office violated Georgia's Open Records Act. Does anybody remember this at all? Does anybody did this ever get let's see. Good morning, Canadian Bacon. I mean, does anybody remember any of this? It just kind of slipped by the under radar, I think. So, because this came out back in March the 17th. So, a judge has ordered Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis to pay more than $54,000 in attorney fees and to turn over documents after finding the office violated Georgia's Open Records Act. Attorney Ashley Merchant represents former Trump campaign staffer Michael Roman, one of the 18 people indicted in 2023, along with President Donald Trump. Oh gosh. On allegations that they illegally tried to overturn Trump's 2020 election loss in Georgia. Merchant sued in January 2024, alleging that the district attorney's office had failed to turn over public records she had requested. Fulton County Supervisor Court Judge Rachel Krause found that the failures to comply with the records law were intentional, in quotes, these are in quotes, not done in good faith, and were substantially groundless and vexatious. Those are quotes. because Willis and her office lacked substantial justification, again in quotes, for not complying. Merchant is entitled to attorney fees and litigation expenses totaling just over $54,000, Krause found. Krause ordered Willis to search for and turn over all records responsive to Merchant's request. The documents and payment are to be delivered within 30 days of Friday's order. So, let's see, a spokesperson for Willis's office said Monday that they plan to appeal the order. So remember, this is in March the 17th. What day was, March the 17th. What day of the week was that? Merchant posted Krause's order on the social media platform X, writing, and again in quotes, proud that we have judges willing to hold people in power accountable when they ignore the law. Willis's office was, quote, again, openly hostile to Merchant, and testimony showed that Merchant's requests, again in quote, were handled differently than other requests, unquote. Krause wrote in an order. Open Records Officer Dexter Bond said during a hearing that he refused to communicate by phone with Merchant, even though it was his regular practice to call the requester if a request was unclear. Treating Merchant's requests this way indicates a lack of good faith. Lack of good faith, quote, in quotes. Among the records Merchant sought were reports provided to Willis's office by companies hired, and quote, to track the impact of Willis's statements to the media and whether such statements were viewed favorably by the public, unquote, according to a court filing. The filing says Willis began contracting with those companies just before she and her office sought to indict Trump, Broman, and others. Merchant also asked for a copy of the non-disclosure or confidentiality agreement that employees of the district attorney's office are required to sign, as well as a list of attorneys Willis had hired. The Georgia Court of Appeals in December ruled that Willis and her office could not continue to prosecute the election interference case against Trump and others. Willis in January asked the Georgia Supreme Court to review and reverse that ruling, and the High Court has not yet said whether it will take up the case. The Intermediate Appeals Court ruling was based on, quote, an appearance of impropriety, unquote, created by a romantic relationship Willis had with Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade, whom she had hired to lead the case. It was a bombshell filing by Merchant in January 2024 that first exposed that relationship publicly, alleging that the relationship created a conflict of interest that should disqualify Willis and her office from the case. So isn't that the truth? A grand jury in Atlanta indicted Trump and 18 others in August of 2023 using the state's anti-hearing law, accused them of fabricating in a wide-ranging scheme to illegally overturn Trump's narrow 2020 loss to Democrat Joe Biden in Georgia. Well, I mean, come on. I mean, it's coming out more and more. But you still got these people that still don't believe, oh, we got the most secure election in the United States. Baloney. I mean, come on. If puppets can be elected in other And what makes you think that they can't do the same thing? It still boggles my mind that people still think that the government's on your side. The alleged scheme included Trump's call to Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, urging him to help find enough votes to beat Biden, which was a lie. They twisted the words. That's not what he said. 4 people have pled guilty. Trump and the others, including Roman, have pleaded not guilty. Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, we know those 4 people either. I mean, my personal thought, they're probably hands were, their arms were twisted behind their backs. They probably felt like they couldn't survive they would not have been able to survive whatever they wanted to do to they have all sorts of ways of threaten these people. Even if the Georgia Supreme Court agrees to hear the case and eventually rule in Willis's favor, it seems unlikely that she will be able to prosecute Trump while he's the sitting president. But there are 14 defendants, including Roman, who still face charges in case. Yeah, if case against Roman is falls apart, then chances are the others will fall apart too. Let's see. Oh, and yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand people. Help me understand people, huh? How can anybody hate one person that much? I don't hate Biden. I don't. I don't like him. I don't like Kamala Harris. I don't like any of these people, but I don't hate them. I think they're a joke in a lot of cases. I think that I think that I don't trust them. I think they are, I guess if you want to call them, evil. But I don't hate them. That's the thing. I don't hate them. I can't imagine. Right. Right, Sky Breeze. I don't hate them. I don't like them. I want justice served. I want them to face justice. But I don't hate them. Like Joe Biden, if he's, I don't know. I still think I think that Joe Biden, the real Joe Biden, has been gone for quite some time. All you have to do is listen to President Trump's speeches. Let's see. Whoever came up with this, that he was having sex with a porn star, and they keep bringing up the tape, the Hollywood access tape. Okay, what was his real words? His real words were say, "Where you are rich as I am, they would let you." Isn't that not true? There are. I mean, look at Monica Lewinsky. Come on. She's a prime example. Look at it. They talk about porn stars. You don't think that porn stars would? Here's my other question, and I've brought this up before. Why was there a tape in the first place? Who came up with the idea? I mean, this tape was what? How many years old? 10 years old? 5 years old? Before he even said he wanted to run for president, and yet this tape just happened to come up? Who goes around and tapes private conversations? I don't understand that, and yet we're supposed to take that as gospel? Come on. I mean, people with critical thinking, it knows not to buy all that stuff. I mean, how can anybody just, I mean, hate on a man so much? I mean, isn't it funny? Everybody loved him until all of a sudden he decides to run for president against Hillary Clinton. And then when he starts exposing them, all of a sudden he's persona non grata. I mean, he and his own he says it in his own campaign speech. They turn everything against him, and yet they call him a liar. I I don't know if I would call it lie and maybe hyperbole on some things, but a lot of stuff he says eventually it comes true. I'm reading chat. Now that is interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't know she owed him that much. 600,000, and she refuses to pay. Most probably because she doesn't have the money. She probably doesn't have the money, and so she can't pay it. I mean, come on, her own lawyer. What's his face? Abernathy, right? Abernathy. Her own lawyer went to jail. It's like, that's crazy. That is so crazy. What else? See. Oh yeah, that whole narrative about him coming up and he's separating the kids from the parents. First of all, they started the DNA because they're finding out the kids didn't belong to the people that were coming across the border in the first place, and so they weren't separating parents. Parents were already being separated. And these were Obama's, but you know what? They were also had to have dividers. If I listened to one guy podcaster I used to listen to, and he would say because what they were doing is they were actually having sex through the fences. You know, come on. Let's see what else. If we can. Right back. So hopefully this will work. Okay, well, that's not going to work. I was going to see if I could go do another video. Let's see. Mm. That's a good one. I can't even get it to stop on my end. But, I now remember what I wanted to do. Like I said. So, during the Articles of Confederation. So, I don't know if it is. So, we're just going to do a read through. Yeah, I wasn't getting ice cream. I wish I had ice cream. I would have. So the Articles of Confederation were adopted by the Continental Congress on November 15th, 1777. This document served as the United States' first constitution. It was in force from March the 1st, 1781 until 1789, when the present-day Constitution went into effect. Don't forget, March in 1781, they were still in the Revolutionary War, because the Revolutionary War did until 1783, I believe. So, after the Lee Resolution proposed independence for the American colonies, the Second Continental Congress appointed 3 committees on June 11, 1776. One of the committees was tasked with determining what form of the Confederation of the colonies should take. This committee was composed of 1 representative from each colony. John Dickinson, a delegate from Delaware, was the principal writer. The Dickinson draft of the Articles of Confederation named the Confederation the United States of America. After considerable debate and revision, the Second Continental Congress adopted the Articles of Confederation on November 15, 1777. The document seen here is the engrossed and corrected version that was adopted on November 15th. It consists of 6 sheets of parchment stitched together. The last sheets bear the signatures of delegates from all 13 states. The first Constitution of the United States established a league of friendship for the 13 sovereign and independent states. Each state retained every power which is not by this Confederation expressly delegated to the United States. The Articles of Confederation also outlined a Congress with representation not based on population. So this whole thing about jury rigging. So the original, and we go back to the original articles, not based on population. Each state would have 1 vote in Congress. Ratification by all 13 states was necessary to set the Confederation into motion. Of course, back then, you had the 13 states and as opposed to the 15th. Because of disputes over representation, voting, and the western lands claimed by some states, ratification was delayed. When Maryland ratified it on March the 1st, 1781, so it took them 4 years or 3.5 years to get it ratified. The Congress of Confederation came into being. Just a few years after the Revolutionary War, however, James Madison and George Washington were among those who feared their young country was on the brink of collapse. When the states retaining considerable power, the central government had insufficient power to regulate commerce. It could not tax and was generally impotent in settling commercial policy. Nor could it effectively support a war effort. Congress was attempting to function with a depleted treasury, and paper money was flooding the country, paper money was flooding the country, creating extraordinary inflation. Go figure. How many people have been talking about that lately? We got inflation because they keep flooding the country with money, paper money. So the states were on the brink of economic disaster, and the central government had little power to settle quarrels between states. Disputes over territory, war, pensions, taxation, and trade threatened to tear the country apart. In May 1787, the Continental Convention assembled in Philadelphia to revise the Articles of Confederation. They shuttered the windows of the State House, which is also known as Independence Hall, and swore secrecy so they could speak freely speak. By mid-June, the delegates had decided to completely redesign the government. After 3 hot summer months of highly charged debate, the new Constitution was signed, which remains in effect today. So here's the transcript. So to whom all these presents shall come, we, the undersigned delegates of the states, affix to our names and greeting, whereas the delegates of the United States of America in Congress assembled did on the 15th day of November in the year of our Lord 1777. Man, I miss those Christmas and New Year's movies. And looking, when you look at the TV shows, and they would give the copyright, I guess you call it a copyright date, and they use the Roman numerals. And in the second year of the independence of America, agree to certain articles of Confederation and perpetual union between the states of New Hampshire, Massachusetts Bay, Rhode Island. Here, Rhode Island is the same word. And Providence Plantations, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia, in the words following, viz. Articles of Confederation, this is in quotes, Articles of Confederation and perpetual union between the states of New Hampshire, Massachusetts Bay, Rhode Island, and Providence Plantations, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. Title I. The style of this confederacy shall be the United States of America. Article 2. Each state retains its sovereignty, freedom, and independence in every power, jurisdiction, and right which is not by this Confederation expressly dedicated to the United States in Congress assembled. Article 3. The said states hereby severally enter into a firm league of friendship with each other for their common defense and security of their liberties and their mutual and general welfare, binding themselves to assist each other against all force offered to or attacks made upon them or any of them on account of religion, sovereignty, trade, or any other pretense whatsoever or whatever. So it sounds like it's like an alliance between the territories or the states. Article 4. The better to secure and perpetuate mutual friendship and intercourse among the people of the different states in this union, the free inhabitants of each of these states, paupers, vagabonds, and fugitives from justice, excepted, guys, excepted, shall be entitled to all privileges and immunities of free citizens in the several states, and the people of each state shall have free ingress and regress to and from any other state. So you could travel to other states. You didn't have to stay in one state. Let's see. And shall enjoy therein all the privileges of trade and commerce, subject to the same duties, impositions, and restrictions as the inhabitants thereof respectively, provided that such restrictions shall not extend so far as to prevent the removal of property imported into any state or to any other state of which the owner is an inhabitant, provided also that no imposition, duties, or restrictions shall be laid by any state on the property of the United States or either of them. If any person guilty of or charged with treason, felony, or other high misdemeanors in any state shall flee from justice and be found in any of the United States, he shall, upon demand of the governor or the executive power of the state from which he fled, be delivered up and removed to the state having jurisdiction of his offense. In other words, it's a form of extradition within the states. That's what it sounds like to me. Full faith and credit shall be given in each of these states to the records, acts, and judicial proceedings of the courts and magistrates of every other state. For the Article 4. For the more convenient management of the general interests of the United States, delegates shall be annually appointed. So in the beginning they did it every year, in such manner as the legislature of each state shall direct, who meet in Congress on the first Monday in November in every year, with a power reserved to each state to recall its delegates or any of them at any time within the year, and to send others in their stead for the remainder of the year. No state shall be represented in Congress by less than 2 or no more than 7 members. No person shall be capable of being delegate for more than 3 years in any term of 6 years. So you can have a 6-year term, but they couldn't be in more than 3 years. So there's your term limits right there. Nor shall any person be a delegate be capable of holding any office under the United States for which he or another of his benefit receives any salary, fees, or emolument of any kind. Each state shall maintain its own delegates in a meeting of the states while they act as members of the committee states. So in here, it sounds like to me they had to pay their own way, or the state has to pay the assemblyman or the Congress. In determining questions in the United States in Congress assembled, each state shall have one vote. Freedom of speech and debate in Congress shall not be impeached or questioned in any court or place out of Congress. The members of Congress shall be protected in their persons from arrest and imprisonments during the time of their going to and from and attendance on Congress except for treason, felony, or breach of the peace. So right here, that says, again, I know this is the Articles of Convention, but still, you think about it, these are the same basis. This is the basis that we get our present Constitution. So this idea that cannot be arrested while in office, except for treason. So if they can prove treason, these people can be arrested anytime. So Article 6, no state without the consent of the United States in Congress assembled shall send any embassy to or receive any embassy from or enter into any conference, agreements, alliance, or treaty with any king, prince, or state, nor shall any person hold any office of profit or trust under the United States or any of them except of any present emolument. And I can't pronounce that for some reason. Emolument, office, or title of any kind whatsoever from any king, prince, or foreign state, nor shall the United States and Congress assembled or any of them grant any title of nobility. No two or more states shall enter into any treaty, confederation, or alliance whatsoever between them without the consent of the United States and Congress assembled, specifying accurately the purposes for which the same is to be entered into and how long it shall continue. No state shall lay any imposts or duties which may interfere with any stipulations and treaties entered into by the United States and Congress assembled with any king, prince, or state. So sounds like to me they were trying to keep everything separate. You're trying to, don't make alliances with any foreign leaders in pursuit of any treaties already proposed by Congress to the courts of France and Spain. No vessels of war shall be kept up in time of peace by any state except such number only as shall be deemed necessary by the United States and Congress assembled for the defense of such state or its trade, nor shall any body or forces be kept up by any state in time of peace except such number only as, in the judgment of the United States in Congress assembled, shall be deemed requisite to garrison the forts necessary for the defense of such state. But every state shall always keep up a well-regulated, every state keep up a well-regulated and disciplined militia, sufficiently armed and accrued, I don't know how to pronounce that, and shall provide and constantly have ready for use in public stores a due number of field pieces and tents, and a proper quantity of arms, ammunition, and camp equipage. So here's this is your National Guard. No state shall emerge in any emerge. No state shall engage in any war without the consent of the United States and Congress assembled, unless such state be actually invaded by enemies, or shall have received certain advice of resolution being formed by some nations of Indians to invade such state, and the danger is so imminent as to admit of a delay until the United States in Congress assembled can be constituted. So you can't go to war unless it's in an emergency. Nor shall any state grant commissions to any ships or vessels of war, nor letters of marque or of mark or reprisal, except it be a declaration of war by the United States and Congress assembled, and only then against the kingdom or state and the subjects thereof, against which war has been so declared, and under such regulation shall be established by the United States and Congress assembled, unless such state be infested by pirates. Okay, so here you go, talk about piracy, in which case vessels of war may be fitted out for that occasion, and kept so long as the danger shall continue, or until the United States and Congress assembled shall determine otherwise. Article 5. When the land forces are raised by any state for the common defense, all officers of or under the rank of colonel shall be appointed by the legislature of each state respectively, by whom such forces shall be raised, or in such manner as such state shall direct, and all vacancies shall be filled up by the state which first made appointment. Article 8. All charges of war and all other expenses shall be incurred for the common defense or general welfare, and allowed by the United States and Congress assembled shall be defrayed out of a common treasury, which shall be supplied by the several states in proportion to the value of all land within each state granted to or surveyed for any person as such land and buildings. So it sounds like to me, and I could be wrong because I'm not that English savvy and this or legalese savvy, I guess. But it sounds like they almost have to take maybe a mortgage or take out a loan and use the property of the state as collateral. Is that how I'm reading that in times of war? So, in portion of the value of the land within each state granted or surveyed for any person as such land and the buildings and improvements thereon shall be estimated according to such mode as the United States in a Congress assembled shall from time to time direct and appoint. The taxes for paying that proportion shall be laid and levied by the authority and direction of the legislatures of the several states within the time agreed upon by the United States and Congress assembled. Article 9. The United States and Congress assembled shall have the sole and exclusive right and power of determining on peace and war, except in cases mentioned in the 6 articles, of sending and receiving ambassadors, entering into treaties and alliances, provided that no treaty of commerce shall be made whereby the legislative power of the respective state shall be restrained from imposing such imposts and duties on foreigners as their own people are subjected to, or from prohibiting the exportation or importation of any species of goods or commodities whatsoever, of establishing rules for deciding in all cases what captures on land or water shall be legal, and in what manner prizes taken by land or naval forces in the United States in the service of the United States shall be divided or appropriated, of granting letters of marque and reprisal in times of peace, appointing courts for the trial of piracies and felonies committed on the high seas, and establishing courts for receiving and determining final appeals in all cases of captures, provided that no member of Congress shall be appointed a judge of any of the said court. So you got to remember, piracy was very prominent in this time of history. The United States and Congress assembled shall also be the last resort on appeal in all disputes and differences now subsisting, or that hereafter may arise between two or more states concerning boundary, jurisdiction, or any other cause whatsoever, which authority shall always be exercised in the manner following. Whenever the legislative or executive authority or lawful agent of any state in controversy with another shall present a petition to Congress stating the matter in question and praying for a hearing, notice thereof shall be given by order of Congress to the legislative or executive authority of the other state in controversy, and a day assigned for the appearance of the parties by their lawful agents, who shall then be directed to appoint by joint consent commissioners or judges to constitute a court for hearing and determining the matter in question. But if they cannot agree, Congress shall name three persons out of each of the United States, and from the list of such persons, each party shall alternately strike out one, the petitioners beginning, until the number shall be reduced to 13, and from that number not less than 7, no more than 9 names, as Congress shall direct, shall in the presence of Congress be drawn out by lot, and the persons whose names shall be so drawn, or any 5 of them, shall be commissioners or judges. So here's the judicial branch. To hear and finally determine the controversy, so always as a major part of the judges who shall hear the cause shall agree in the determination, and if either party shall neglect to attend at the day appointed without showing reasons which Congress shall judge sufficient, or being present shall refuse to strike, the Congress shall proceed to nominate 3 persons out of each state. And the Secretary of Congress shall strike in behalf of such party absent or refusing of the judgment and sentence of the court to be appointed in the manner before prescribed shall be final and conclusive. And if any of the parties shall refuse to submit to the authority of such court, or to appear to defend their claim or cause, the court shall nevertheless proceed to pronounce sentence or judgment, which shall in like manner be final and decisive, the judgments or sentence or other proceedings being in either case transmitted to Congress and lodged among the acts of Congress for the security of the parties concerned, provided that every commissioner, before he sits in judgment, shall take an oath to be administered by one of the judges of the Supreme or Superior Court of the state where the cause shall be tried, and quote, well and truly to hear and determine the matter in question, according to the best of his judgment, without favor, affection, or hope of reward, unquote. Provided also that no state shall be deprived of territory for the benefit of the United States. All controversies concerning the private right of soil claimed under different grants of two or more states, whose jurisdictions as they may respect such lands, and the states which passed such grants and adjusted the said grants, or either of them being at the same time claimed to have originated antecedent such settlement or jurisdiction, shall, on the petition of either party to the Congress of the United States, be finally determined, as near as many be in the same manner as is before prescribed, for deciding disputes respecting territorial jurisdiction between different states. The United States in Congress assembled shall also have the sole and exclusive right and power of regulating the alloy and value of coin, struck by their own authority or by that of the respective states. Fixing the standard of weights and measures throughout the United States, regulating the trade and managing all affairs with Indians not members of any of the states, provided that the legislative right of any statute within its own limits be not infringed or violated, establishing and regulating post offices from one state of another throughout the United States. And remember, and the thing about the post office is a business in the government. I don't know if y'all remember that in any of your schooling, but post office were run by the government. They, that was one of the things that it's established from one state to another throughout all the United States, and exacting such postage on the papers passing through the same as may be requisite to defray the expenses of the said office, appointing all officers of the land forces in the service of the United States, excepting regimental officers, appointing all the offices of the naval forces, and commissioning all officers whatever in the service of the United States, making rules for the government and regulation of the said land and naval forces, and directing their operations. The United States and Congress assembled shall have authority to appoint a committee to sit on the recess of Congress, to be denominated a committee of the states, and that's in quotes, and to consist of one delegate from each state, to appoint such other committees, and civil officers may be necessary for managing the general affairs of the United States under their direction, to appoint one of their number to preside, provided that no person shall be allowed to serve in the office of the president more than 1 year in any term of 3 years. Interesting. So, provided that no person allowed to serve in the office of president more than 1 year in any term of 3 years, to ascertain the necessary sums of money to be raised for the service of the United States, and to appropriate and apply the same for defraying the public expenses, to borrow money or emit bills on the credit of the United States, transmitting every half year to the respective states an account of the sums of money so borrowed or emitted, to build and equip a navy, to agree upon the number of land forces, and to make requisitions from each state for its quota in proportion to the number of white inhabitants of such state. Which, I don't know, would they really use the term white? I don't know. So, which requisition shall be binding, and thereupon the legislature of each state shall appoint the regimental officers, raise the men, and clothe, arm, and equip them in a soldier-like manner, at the expense of the United States, and the officers and men so clothed, armed, and equipped shall march to the place appointed within the time agreed on. The United States and Congress assembled. But if the United States and Congress assembled shall be in consideration of circumstances, judge proper that any state should not raise men, nor should raise a smaller number than its quota, and that any other state should raise a greater number of men than the quota thereof, such extra number shall be raised, officered, clothed, and armed, and equipped in the same manner as the quota of such state, unless the legislature of such state shall judge that such extra number cannot be safely spared out of the same, in which case they shall raise, officer, clothe, arm, and equip as many of such extra number as they judge can be safely spared. And the officers and men so clothed, armed, and equipped shall march to the place appointed and within the time agreed on by the United States and Congress assembled. The United States and Congress assembled shall never engage in a war, nor grant laters a mark and reprisal in time of peace, nor enter into any treaties or alliances, or coin money, nor corn money, nor regulate the value thereof, nor ascertain the sums and expenses necessary for the defense and welfare of the United States, or any of them, nor emit bills, nor borrow money, nor borrow money on the credit of the United States, nor appropriate money, nor agree upon the number of vessels of war to be built or purchased, or the number of land or sea forces to be raised, nor appoint a commander-in-chief of the army or navy, unless 9 states assent to the same, nor shall a question on any other point, except for adjourning from day to day, be determined unless by the votes of a majority of the United States and Congress assembled. The Congress in the United States shall have power to adjourn to any time within the year and to any place within the United States, so that no period of adjournment be for a longer duration than the space of 6 months. And shall publish the journal of their proceedings monthly. So they're supposed to keep minutes to be read, except such parts thereof relating to treaties, alliances, or military operations as in their judgment require secrecy, and the yeas and the nays of the delegates of each state on any question shall be entered on the journal. When it is desired by any delegate, the delegate of this state, or any of them, at his or her request, shall be furnished with a transcript of the said journal, except parts that are above accepted, to lay before the legislature of the several states. So, Article 10, the committee of the states, or any 9 of them, shall be authorized to execute in the recesses of Congress such of the powers of Congress as the United States in Congress assembled by the consent of 9 states shall from time to time think expedient to vest them with, provided that no power be delegated to the said committee for the exercise of which, by the Articles of Confederation, the voice of 9 states in the Congress of the United States assembled is requisite. Article 11, Canada. Here it goes. Here is where people are referring. Here's where it refers to Canada. So Canada, acceding to this confederation and joining in the measures of the United States, shall be admitted into entitled to all the advantages of this union, but no other colony shall be admitted into the same unless such admission be agreed to by the 9 states. So Article 11 of the Articles of Confederation of 1777. So this is where people are getting the Canada reference. So it took a while, but I got it. I was beginning to wonder if it was even in there, if I was on the wrong track. So here you go. This is why. So you can see here, even though, I mean, it was ratified, and I guess you could say it was replaced by the other, but here's where people are getting Canada. It may be possible that Canada could become the 51st. Wouldn't that be interesting? State of the Union. Looks like I lost my audience there. So there you have it. Article 12. All bills of credit emitted, monies borrowed, and debts contracted by or under the authority of Congress before the assembling of the United States in pursuance to the present Confederation shall be deemed and considered as a charge against the United States for payment and satisfaction whereof the said United States and the public favor by solemnly pledge. Article 13. Every state shall abide by the determinations of the United States and Congress assembled on all questions which by this confederation are submitted to them. And the articles of this confederation shall be inviolably observed by every state, and the union shall be perpetual, nor shall any alteration at any time hereafter be made in any of them, unless such alteration be agreed to in Congress of the United States and be afterwards confirmed by the legislatures of every state. And whereas it has pleased the great governor of the world, they're talking about God, to incline the hearts of the legislatures we respectively represent in Congress, to approve of and to authorize us to ratify the said articles of confederation and perpetual union. Know ye that we, the undersigned delegates, by virtue of the power and authority to us given for that purpose, do, and by these presents, in the name and in behalf of our respective constituents, fully and entirely ratify and confirm each and every of the said articles of confederation and perpetual union, and all and singular the matters and things therein contained. And we do further solemnly pledge and engage the faith of our respective constituents that they shall abide by the determinations of the United States and Congress assembled on all questions which by the said confederation are submitted to them, and that the articles thereof shall be inviolably observed by the states we respectively represent, and that the union shall be perpetual. In witness whereof we have hereunto set our hands in Congress, done at Philadelphia, in the state of Pennsylvania, the 9th day of July, in the year of the Lord, 1777. No, and let's see, 1778, and in the third of the independency of America. So there you have it. Article 11. So how about that? What do you think? What do y'all think? Okay. Now, with that, that's one thing about President. Just says, say things. He says things he wants people to look. Let's see. Articles of Confederation, officially Articles of Confederation and Perpetual Union, was an agreement and early body of law in the 13 colonies, which served as the nation's first frame of government during the American Revolution. Let's see, debated Second Continental Congress at Independence Hall in Philadelphia between July 1776 and November 1777. Finalized by Congress November 15th, 1777, and came into force March 1st, 1781, after being ratified by all 13 colonies. Let's see. A central and guiding principle of the Articles was the establishment and preservation of the independence and sovereignty of the original 13 states. This Articles consciously established a weak confederal government, affording only those powers the former colonies recognized as belonged to the British Crown and Parliament during the colonial era. The document proved clearly written rules for how the states' League of Friendship, known as Perpetual Union, was to be organized. While waiting for all states to ratify the Articles, the Congress observed them as they conducted business in the American Revolution, directing the Revolutionary War effort, conducting diplomacy with foreign states, addressing territorial issues, and dealing with American Indian relations. Little changed procedurally once the Articles of Confederation went into effect, since the ratification mostly codified the laws already established already in existence, and the procedures in the Continental Congress had already been following. The body was renamed the Congress of the Confederation, but most Americans continue to call it the Continental Congress since the organization remained the same. As the Confederation Congress attempted to govern the continually growing 13 colonial states, its delegates discovered that the limitations on the central government, such as assembling delegates, raising funds, and regulating commerce, limited its ability to do so. As the government's weaknesses became apparent, especially after Shays' Rebellion, which was an armed uprising in western Massachusetts and Worcester in response to a debt crisis among the citizenry in opposition to the state's government's increased efforts to collect taxes on both individuals and trades. Well, that would be a reason why they wouldn't want to tax their constituents or their residents in those states. Several prominent political thinkers in the fledgling Union began asking for changes to the Articles that would strengthen the powers afforded to the central government. September 1786, some states met to address interstate protectionist trade barriers between them. Shortly thereafter, more states became interested in meeting to revise the Articles. A meeting was set in Philadelphia, May 25th, 1787. This became Constitutional Convention. Delegates quickly agreed that the defects of the frame of the government could not be remedied by altering the Articles, and went beyond their mandate by authorizing a new constitution and sent it to the states for ratification. After significant ratification debates in each state and across the nation on March 4th, 1789, the government under the Articles was replaced with the federal government under the Constitution. So, So the new Constitution provided for a much stronger federal government by establishing a chief executive, the president, courts, and taxing powers. Anyway, I probably okay. So here are, let's see, the committee. We have John Dixon, Samuel Adams, Josiah Bartlett, Button, Gwinnett, Joseph Hughes, Stephen Hopkins, Robert Livingston. Let's see, John Dickinson was an attorney, politician. Samuel Adams, founding father, he was a politician. Josiah Bartlett, he was a physician. Another lawyer. How many lawyers are on this delegation? Let's see, come on, Francis Hopkinson. He was a lawyer, a jurist. Let's see. McKeon. Another lawyer. Huh. Interesting. Let's see. Several states. Virginia was first. Let's see, and Maryland was last. So the Articles of Confederation contain a preamble, 13 articles, a conclusion, and a signatory section. The individual articles set the rules for current and future operations. Under the Articles, the states retain sovereignty. The states retain sovereignty over all government functions not specifically relinquished to the National Congress. Let's see. So it's established the title of the Confederacy, asserts sovereignty of each state except specific powers delegated to the government, declares the purpose of the Confederation, elaborates on the intent. Let's see. So establish equal treatment and free movement. And between paupers, from all these people are entitled to equal rights established by the state into which they travel. If a crime is committed in one state, leads to another state, it will be extricated and tried in the state. You know what this reminds me of? I'll tell you what, this reminds me, if you go back to the Exodus? No. When was it established in Numbers, I believe? Gosh. The cities of refuge. And in the cities of refuge in the Bible, they were 6 cities divided when the Israelites went into the promised land, the land of Canaan. 2.5 of the tribes stayed on one side of the Jordan River. The rest of them, the 10.5, yeah, no, 9.5. Yeah, 9.5 tribes went to the west of the, but each side had 3 cities of refuge. And what it was for is if, say, like there was 2 men, someone was out together and they were chopping wood, and the axe handle flew and killed one. Well, that one person, even though since there wasn't any witnesses to say what happened, that one person, or if it was found out that the one person that killed the person accidentally, they could go to these cities of refuge. And of course, then you had the kind of a blood feud. But anyway, this kind of reminds me of that. Although with the city, if you could go to the city of refuge, then he had to stay there for the rest of his life, or until a judgment could be rendered whether or not he should be found guilty or innocent. If he left the city of refuge, then the avenger, so to speak, could actually seek his own judgment. So let's see. Article 5 allocates 1 vote to each state between 2 and 7 members. Members of Congress are to be appointed by state legislatures. No congressman may serve more than 3 out of any 6 years. Only the central government could declare war or conduct foreign political. No state. So all these states, like going to going to South Korea, that's wrong. So all these governments, I mean, here you go. And all these people going to, in Congress. Let's see. Expenditures, powers, and functions. I don't know if y'all can read that if I'm scrolling too fast, but so in this it says, so if Canada, referring to the province of Quebec, was a colony which comprised of the former French colony of Canada. So I think there is a movement in Quebec that wants to go ahead and succeed to the United States. So here you go. The province of Quebec was a colony, so it accedes to this. So it will be admitted. No other colony could be admitted without the consent of the 9 states. So I wonder if they would have to go. I mean, if we really technically go back to the original Articles of Convention, would they have to actually get the permission from the 9 or the 9 colonies or the 9 states? So, Army, foreign policy. I mean, got all this. So Congress was denied any powers of taxation. It could only request money from the states. So here it is. The whole tax. It could only request money from the states. States often fail to meet these requests in full, leaving Congress and Continental Army chronically short of money. And that's part of the reason why you have the tariffs. So as more money was printed, the continental dollars depreciated. In 1779, George Washington wrote to John Jay, who was serving as the president of the Continental Congress, that a wagon load of money will scarcely purchase a wagon load of provisions. So they requested $45 million from the states. In an appeal to the states to comply, Jay wrote that taxes were the price of liberty, the peace, and the safety of ourselves and posterity. He argued that Americans should avoid having it said that America had no sooner become independent than she became solvent, or that her infant glories and growing fame were obscured and tarnished by broken contracts and violated faith. The states did not respond with the money requested from them. Congress had also been denied the power to regulate either foreign trade or interstate commerce. And as a result, all the states maintained control over their own trade policies. So the states and Confederation Congress both incurred large debts during the Revolutionary War, and how to repay those debts became a major issue of debate. Some states paid off their war debts, others did not. Federal assumption of the states' war debts became a major issue in the deliberations of the Continental Convention. My time is coming up, so that is there you have it. So there's a little bit, I mean, the principle, the flavor, that they fired a warning shot against him, and I would, make of the possibility that Ivana and both may have been. I mean, this is just a theory. I know it's a theory. So not a fact, it's a theory. Okay, I don't care theories. Journalists have theories, but they may have been cover. And too hot for Ivana. For all I know, that Ivana may have been Marla. And they ended up getting married for whatever. He could have gotten married for reasons. Could have gotten married. Could outside of the physical attraction and even the emotional attachment. And the reason why I kind of, because I don't know President Trump, I don't know his personality, I don't know his ex-wives, I don't know, so I'm not disparaging their feelings of each other. I'm not even doubting I'm saying that there may have been more to it, especially more to the divorces than there were to the, he was a cheater. Maybe not. Maybe he wasn't a cheater. Maybe that was just the public persona. We know, because we know these people go, if they don't like you, they have something against you, if they want to try to keep you in line, they're going to make threats. And who knows? Who knows? All right, I'm going to see if I can before I leave, because it's getting to be 2 o'clock. I go. School's not out yet, so I still have to get up early to take Brandon to school. I just got to a point where things that we thought were true in the past, it's just like, I wonder if they really are true. Maybe there's something more than what we don't know about. Thank you, Heidi. It's always a pleasure to have you around to encourage me. I really enjoy, I really appreciate that encouragement. Let's see if I can find something we can go out with. Even if the video, at least I think, I don't know how everybody else, but I think that even if the video is kind of messed up, as long as it's not a distraction and the audio is good, I think that's just that is just as good. But that's me. I'm a visual person, but I can handle audio as long as the audio works. Let's see if this will work. Maybe not. It's too slow.
Speak your mind, do your thing, and live your strong. Strong roots, like the wind. Stand up for truth, stand up for what is right. Be the change, yeah, be the light. From the blue showers to the clouds, from the farms to the sun, from the mountains to the rivers and seas. It's what we love, it's what we need. From Alaska down to Key West, yeah, God bless these United States. Keep it strong, keep it free, keep America great. Lend a hand, say a prayer, and do your part. Open minds and full hearts. Red, white, and blue, the stars and the space. Yeah, we live our way, how we alive. From the blue collar roots to the cowboy boots, from the Midwest farms to the southern pews, from the mountain tops to the rivers and seas. It's what we love, it's what we breathe. From Alaska down to Key West, yeah, God bless these United States. Keep it strong, keep it free, keep America great. From the blue collar roots to the cowboy boots, from the Midwest farms to the southern pews, from the mountain tops to the rivers and seas. It's what we love, it's what we breathe. From Alaska down to Key West, yeah, God bless the United States. Keep it strong, keep it free, keep America great. Keep it strong, keep it free, keep
Okay, so that does it for me, and hopefully somebody will come in pretty soon. So I hate leaving you on the lurch, but I gotta get to bed. So guys, and as you can tell, I can't just leave a video on and leave. So anyway, you guys have a great rest of the week. I will well, thank you, rock and roll. I will see y'all Saturday. I'm gonna be also sitting in for Poe on Saturday evening. So uh, y'all have a great, and guys, there's so much going on. I mean, I don't know about you, but sometimes I like the history. I like history, and everybody else with so much coverage on the news and everything. It's hard to know what to focus on. But thank you guys for your patience. Thank you for your grace, and I'll see y'all. I'll see y'all in a few days. Y'all have a great one, and on a winter signing out.